So in this video, I'm going to take you through 5 of the main and most common reasons that dismissive avoidant attachment styles can struggle to give compliments to the people they are seeing, dating, or in a relationship with. So, some of the biggest questions I've had are actually around this topic on this channel. So many individuals reach out and ask, why is it that dismissive avoidance won't compliment me in a relationship? Why is it that my partner won't compliment me or say nice things? And it can leave someone actually feeling kind of a sense of uncertainty or fear or confusion when they aren't getting that validation and reassurance, particularly if somebody has a huge love language around words of affirmation. If you have a huge love language to be validating and to, hear reassurance and get certainty through that, and then that's not happening in relationships, it can leave you feeling a little bit on edge for sure. So here are some of the most common reasons. And at the end of the video, we will talk a little bit about what you can also do. The very first reason is, of course, vulnerability or dismissive avoidant. And by the way, this comes from, in my private practice for years, having so many conversations with dismissive avoidants about these topics. And these are the most common themes I saw emerge over and over and over again. So the first and most common one was a sense of vulnerability. Was dismissive avoidance saying things to me like, you know what, that just feels like a lot. It feels like I'm being really open. It feels like I'm being really vulnerable. And I don't want to really have to go there. It feels anxiety producing. Now, the reason for this is that dismissive avoidants, as you know, if you watch this channel often, have a subconscious fear around vulnerability because they associate it with being something that leads to neglect, rejection, and really just pain in general. And so they come to, not just fear vulnerability, but also shame themselves for being vulnerable. They are often very judgmental and shaming of themselves in their own internal dialogue and how they think about themselves or perceive themselves when they are being vulnerable. And what we know is that for a securely attached relationship to really function and to work, vulnerability is a necessary ingredient. And so it can be very difficult for a dismissive avoidant to really move past, the later stages of relationships and more into a commitment with somebody long term if they can't really reprogram or recondition this fear of vulnerability that lives within their subconscious mind. The second big thing that I hear, and this is pretty much in order of what I would hear the most often, is this idea or concept that, well, if I start giving them compliments all the time, they're going to come to expect it from me all the time. And dismissive avoidants have a huge resistance to people expecting things from them. And often it's because they don't trust their own ability to emotionally regulate their emotional bandwidth. They often feel burned out around people or exhausted from being around people. And part of this is because they struggle to co-regulate with others. I have other videos on this channel about that. I also have a webinar style course that you can check out for free for 7 days inside of PDS using the link below. If you want to learn more about co-regulation and why this is a struggle for many of the attachment styles. In fact, all 3 insecure attachment styles. Securely attached styles do this well. So, if you want to do a deep dive into that, that's a huge part of the reason, but you'll see dismissive avoidance because they struggle to co-regulate. It makes them constantly need space and time away from people to feel like they can re-regulate their emotional bandwidth, essentially. And what essentially takes place as a result of this is that they fear people expecting things from them because then they think commitments are going to leave them in these dynamics where if I have to give things to you all the time, but my bucket's running empty, like my cup is empty, my buckets run dry, like these sorts of things, then how can I possibly give those things to you? So I don't want you to expect too much from me, where then, I won't have something to give to you. And then maybe we get into an argument or a conflict or something of that nature. So this huge fear that comes up a lot is this fear of the expectation of a partner. Number 3 most common is this idea or concept that a dismissive avoidant is giving their power away. And, this kind of goes hand in hand a little bit with vulnerability in the sense that, if I am too vulnerable, then it feels like, I'm giving power away or things of that nature as a dismissive avoidant. But, it's really important to recognize that this is just an illusion, right? It's this concept or idea that that, by giving you a compliment or boosting you, that I lose something, right? That's not actually what's happening. But for dismissive avoidance, they fear being too open and loving and caring and expressive towards their partner because it feels to them like that is some kind of weakness. And again, this is because of the way that they were conditioned to see, to view relationships, what was modeled to them in their upbringing. It's not their fault. And yet it is also their responsibility to work on changing and healing and growing through. So that's a huge number three. Number four is this idea that if they do give compliments, that they may not receive something back and then they will feel rejected. Now, something that's really important to recognize is that while dismissive avoidance may be the types of individuals that don't seem like they are bothered by rejection at all, they are actually quite self shaming and self rejecting. And this really brings me to number five, which is that they will feel ashamed when they give a compliment. So I'm going to explain these last two together. So, dismissive avoidance, because they can be very self rejecting and self shaming, there actually is a much greater sensitivity to them not feeling, complimented or supported or seen. And they're not usually looking for it in this grandiose way that you might expect from a narcissist, for example. But they're looking for these kind of small level acknowledgments. And they're always kind of wary of the balance between how much they are getting in terms of that acknowledgement and compliment and care versus how much they're giving, right? That giving versus receiving, sorry, balance. And part of this is that they see that if I stay really safe, if I stay kind of, feeling like you are more interested in me, or you have more care towards me, or you put more energy into the relationship than I do, then it reinforces that, okay, I'm safe to be here. And when they feel like they are chasing, it feels extremely unsafe for them, very fear and anxiety producing. And they tend to, believe it or not, be very hard on themselves inside the way that they think about themselves in their internal world, their mind, internal dialogue. And they can really shame themselves for being weak. They really put themselves down quite a bit when they come to discover more and more about their internal dialogue. And it's really like often represented in their feelings. Like they'll most often just feel a lot of shame or fear or anxiety or feel a great sense of rejection. And then how they cope with this, we know, is to shut down, right? To pull away. So they don't have these like approach oriented mechanisms when they're feeling distance, the way an anxious preoccupied might, for example. So the AP feels distance and they try to maintain proximity. They try to get closer. The DA feels, distance, and they go, okay, this is too much. And they shut down further out of that mode for trying to create self-preservation or safety. And so these five major features together will cause dismissive avoidance to feel really uncomfortable giving too many compliments. Now, if you are the partner or a loved one of a dismissive avoidant, and if this is your love language, especially, you have to have a conversation. You have to say that this is a love language for you. This is how you feel love, just like they might receive love or care from different things that you do. So maybe give some examples, like if it's acts of service or if it's quality time, like, express and show, hey, the way you receive love through XYZ, I receive love in this way through words of affirmation and reassurance and compliments sometimes. And, I'm not coming to expect this from you all the time, but just knowing that there's a little bit of this in the relationship is meaningful to me. And, the more you can share this and articulate it in an open way, and also make sure that you set some boundaries around this. Like if you're in a relationship, I see a lot of people sometimes in the comments say that they've been dating somebody for a long time and it's not working and they're really upset. And, my heart goes out to you if that's your experience, because of course it can be really painful to be in a loving, committed relationship with somebody who's not giving back to you or not reciprocating. And at the same time, my question for you is like, well, then why are you staying in a relationship if it's truly unfulfilling, right? What limiting beliefs do you have about leaving or moving on or being able to heal or find somebody else, so that you don't just get caught in this gray area where you're not happy and you're staying in it, right? Because then it's you sort of putting yourself through the misery rather than the other person, right? If you clearly know that you're not happy and the needle isn't moving and you're trying and you're communicating and then it's still not changing, like the answer for yourself. So, if you are a DA, definitely work to do, definitely healing to do in this area, something really important to explore. If you're the loved one of a DA, have the conversation, do the work, communicate, let the person know, see your needs through. And if you're still not seeing, results or shifts or changes, and if this is a really important love language to you, then it's time to really consider what keeps you there in the first place and what you might need to do about that, and what sort of introspective work you might want to do around your fears or limiting beliefs around leaving, or your limiting beliefs about your ability to move on, because you may have some really major breakthroughs there. So I have some exciting news, which is that we are doing $1,000 off of our lifetime membership sale to the Personal Development School, which means you get access to literally everything at PDS for your entire rest of your life. Essentially, that entails all of our different courses you have lifetime access to. I do 4 live webinars a week, every single week. You can access them ongoing, and you get access to all of our daily community events. So I'd love to see you on the other side, and you can access it by using the link in the description box below. That's it for today. Let me know if you have other questions. Again, you can check out the co-regulation course, all about how to really co-regulate in relationships and help, somebody else see that information of what to do there as well. We talk a little bit about how to help others co-regulate, but in a healthy, non-codependent way, with good boundaries. So you can check that out for free for 7 days using the link below. If you have other questions about this topic, please let me know. And if you're enjoying this video or these videos, I literally put daily videos out here for you every single day, all about all this information. So if you have questions that you want to see, if you're enjoying this, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our daily videos. And we talk all about attachment theory, really integrated attachment theory, the new attachment theory. The subconscious mind, core wounds, needs, limiting beliefs, how to emotionally regulate, all that good stuff, on a daily basis. So let me know any videos you want to see down below, and I hope you subscribe so that I can see you tomorrow.